going to start this. This is actually going to be a series. It's top weapons of spiritual warfare, and this is the ultimate weapon, the weapon of ultimate peace, which is love. All right, I'm going to start this with a story. There once was a man who grumbled and complained about every little thing. His wife said, "Take these clothes that I have set aside to the homeless shelter." The man grumbled, "Why does it have to be me? Why can't they just come get these things if they need them?" His wife asked him, "Can you give this money in the offering this week?" The man immediately begins to count the money. "Good heavens, woman, do you think I'm made of money? Let the rich give the offering. I need my money." Then one day his wife loaded up the car with food, took it to a neighbor's house who was having a difficult time. And when she returned, her husband asked, "Why didn't you ask me to take the food to him?" And she said, "The Lord told me to go alone." He says, "Wait a minute. All these other times you send me to go do these things, but this time the Lord tells you to do it?" She says, "Yes, because all of those other times he was trying to prepare you for this blessing, and you're grumbling and complaining. You have told him that you don't want it." Now this story, it has an interesting motto. By doing good deeds or tzedakah in love, or by not doing good deeds or tzedakah in love, you're refusing God's blessing for you. You see, if you're not doing being everything in love, then you're wasting your time. You're wasting God's time. Because when you get to the end of what it is you've set aside that you're going to do, and you haven't done this in a loving manner, then there's no blessing for you at the end of it. How many people here like to receive gifts?
Amen.
Everybody. Everybody loves to receive gifts. I come from a background where I love to give, even more than I receive. Back when we did, I was more happy to have something under the tree that I was giving to someone else than I was to have things under that tree that I was going to receive myself. Although I loved to open it, and I loved to find out what new thing I'd gotten, it was much more important to me to see the expression on somebody's face when I gave them something. And it's the same in our walk. We should get a joy. We should be filled with joy when we take something to somebody else in obedience and in love, and that was exactly what they needed. There was a story I heard one time of a man who was sleeping, and he had a dream that he needed to drop off a gallon of milk at this specific address at this specific time. And the man searches and searches for the specific address. And at that specific time, he went and he rang the doorbell. And the woman, carrying a crying baby, answers the door. And the man, are you two calling each other?
I was actually recording you.
I'm just kidding. But the woman answers the door with a crying baby in her arms, and the man hands her a gallon of milk. And she begins to weep. And the man says, "I don't know why I brought you this milk. I had a dream that I was supposed to bring you this milk at this time, and I don't know why." And she said, "My baby's last bottle was 3 hours ago, and I did not have any more milk to feed her. And you have shown up at the right time for her to eat her next meal." That's tzedakah. That is doing something in love out of obedience, not asking any questions, just showing up and doing it. Yeshua says that you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the first commandment, and this is the first commandment, and the second like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all of the Torah and the Nevi'im. Let's take a look at for a moment what it means to love one's neighbor. This isn't your next door neighbor. This isn't the person who's sitting next to you right now, because that's easy. It's easy to love somebody who loves you back. That's easy. But what about Israel? What about Israel, who is surrounded by nations that hate her? How do you do good to that? How do you do good to someone who wants to see you killed? I think we've seen Israel show great patience. We think we've seen them show great love. And I think we're going to see it again when all of this big wave subsides. And you see Israel, you won't see it on the news, but if you go to the Jerusalem Post or the Jewish websites, the Jewish news agencies, you will see the humanitarian aid that is sent into Gaza to help these people is going to be overwhelming, because they still love them, even though you seek to kill us. And they repent of all the collateral damage that was done during a war like that. But just like us, we would not let Canada fire rockets into Chicago. We wouldn't let it happen. We wouldn't let Mexico fire rockets into Houston. We'd never let it happen. And that's the same thing they have to do. They have an obligation to protect their people. And they have to figure out how they're going to abide by Torah and still defend their people, because they're supposed to love them. And there's some places that you have to draw the line. But when you love your enemy, you're showing a different kind of compassion. I heard this week, and it was an interesting story, that Barack Obama, in closing Gitmo, or the Guantanamo Bay prison camp, there are countries around the world who have said, we would make peace with you because of this decision. Now, you think about that for a minute, and you can skew that in kind of any direction you want to skew it. But his action, he is our president, we need to at least be supportive of some of the moves he's making.
Pray for him.
And by shutting down Gitmo, or a prison camp, which holds our enemies, and giving them a fair shake, countries around the world are saying, now, you have shown a peaceful side to you. We want to make peace with you. Take it as you will. I'm not trying to be political. I'm not trying to show any kind of political jargon and push in anything in anybody's direction. But I think that is kind of a tzedakah in a way. These are people that we deemed as an enemy. And giving them a fair chance, the world is looking at it and saying, we recognize your good deed with a good deed. Look at it as you will.